All right. Oh, shit, we're already on. That's great. Here I am still adjusting my phone so that I can see you guys. But we're already going. So I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes in case people are coming to join the party, the live Q&A. This is number 6 for me. And if you're listening in and this is your first time, welcome. And if it is not your first time, welcome back. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes. If you are watching this live, throw up a little comment into the comment section letting me know that you can hear me. Hey Brianna, hello darling, it's good to have you. How cold is it at the moment? Here I am though in short sleeves. It's freezing, but I do have a gift for everyone. This live Q&A is not just only me, there's a few other guest speakers here. I have this dog. This is Frankie. He's got his cone on today because he's been licking his foot. So he's here, and you be a good boy, mate. Hey, no seizures while I'm doing a live Q&A. And I also have this one. This is Pepino. That's his son. So anyway, if I have to break these two apart fighting, you know where I'll be. All right, I'm going to get started because I did have a couple of questions this week, which was really awesome. Always makes me feel very excited when we get questions. The first one was from Danielle, and just excuse me while I readjust my notes here. Danielle sent in a question saying, I feel like my physical progress goal of losing fat and being sculpted as fuck is going at a snail's pace. Progress is still progress, so I'm not complaining, and I have made tons of mental progress and kicked a lot of bad habits. But from your experience, for someone who is complying with 95% compliance and really living the lifestyle, definitely not perfect, but I'm getting better and better at it. How many programs does it take just for someone to see big changes physically? And she is ready and still waiting for that switch to flip. She can already hear Matt in her head saying, I thought we were past this mindset of time versus results, and it'll take as long as it takes, and focus on those small wins. She knows, but she is a vain creature, Danielle, and ready for internal changes to be reflected on the exterior. So any extra coaching in the area is the best type of expectations to set. So that's an awesome question, Danielle. I really relate to where you're coming with this. Internally, what happens is the trauma of the way that you have treated your body years and years before starting to change your ways is real. I think that a lot of people, even myself at the start, underestimated how much the body takes a hit for this and what really happens under the skin that we can't see. I think most of us have fallen victim to the, if I can't see it, it can't be happening, or it's not that bad. But just as much as our outsides, they aren't ideal, the most damage is actually being done under the skin, believe it or not. And just going off this, I think that some people, maybe even yourself, Danielle, don't fully grasp this, which is fine. But in that means that you're inclined to ask those questions. Yeah, when's my dividend on this investment? You know, why isn't anything happening? And when you think about trauma, I'm actually referring to lots of those things like chronic dieting, chronic stress, chronic nutritional deficiencies, years and years of shitty sleep habits, plus then you layer on that emotional negative talk that we just put on top of ourselves as well. It's serious trauma, right? And all of this stuff affects our brain function, our digestive system, our nervous system, and subsequently it all calculates to how long it takes for our body to be picking up those broken pieces to then show you something worthwhile on the outside. So trauma is a really tricky thing with this because we do call it metabolic damage, but it is trauma to the body. And it's tricky because even though you might think, oh, some of this diet stuff that, happened years ago, surely that doesn't mean as much as what it means to what's happened more recent. But trauma inside our bodies is, it doesn't actually have an expiry date or a timeline. It doesn't register what's old and to let certain things go. It continually builds and layers onto us irrespective of the timeline, and it's like, call it a bad grudge. So you layer that trauma of all those things onto your own situation, and then you start to do the right thing, and you have to retrain your everything to trust you again. So you have to retrain your mind, your digestive system, your metabolism, all of it. For someone who's essentially had 5, 10, 15 years of a grudge, it takes a while to get the trust back. There's no real other way to put it. And that's what it takes to really start feeling better before you then function better. And then later on, the repercussions of those two things is when you start to look better. So when you say, Danielle, I'm at 95% compliance, this is great. Honestly, it really is. It's epically great. This will mean you are just reinforcing to your body that element of trust, retraining the parts of your body that isn't just another short-term approach that you're taking on. Like what you're doing now isn't just something you're going to do for a year and then give it away. And this is life. So your body will reward you with this. It's inevitable. Now, one thing I kind of want to add on to this, like the discussion of 95% compliance with food and exercise, which is a great goal to have and to set and get there. But there are also other areas that I've seen completely sabotage a transformation. Like once they achieve that high level of compliance, sabotage as in you go nowhere. And those two main factors that can sabotage a transformation is sleep and stress. So if you maintain a very high level of stress that your body, not your mind, your body deems too high, your nervous system, your entire body is constantly under pressure to function, let alone burn any body fat off your body. Stress is it's serious, and it's an underrated killer, and another form of trauma that, no amount of good food or the appropriate amount of exercise can make up for. And it's a tricky one because we're always thinking, I should be able to do this and, be able to take on the world and deal with a certain level of stress. If you're being good over here with food and exercise, but our body has its own threshold, and it really needs to be acknowledged with stress. Otherwise, you will not go anywhere, I promise. Sleep is the same thing. If you are having constant restless nights or late nights and it's a chronic enough, be warned that that's also going to just dictate the amount of success that you have too. While I'm on a roll, oh gosh, Danielle, you're probably regretting asking this, but I've got an opinion on it. So I think it's valid, and I'm going to share it with you. But while I'm on a roll, a lot of us are used to coming from a place where we've got time frames on everything. Our old diets, our old meal plans get X results in X days, or the like. So we've come from that past, and we tend to hold that very close to our hearts. And granted, we'd all love to have a crystal ball and see what's coming. But this isn't Disneyland. So you just have to keep putting that one foot forward in front of the other, and trust that good things will happen when you control your controllables. To be honest though, just on that diet stuff, when has a diet ever delivered those time frames that it's always promised? Like never. So, you know, while you're in the process of, you know, changing your life, it's time to grow some knowledge somewhere. But it is also quite the process in detaching from some of the old mindsets that we formed in our old ways as well. I think that's all I have to say now, Danielle. I hope that this has answered your question. If everybody else is listening, either live or later on, I hope that this response has helped you. I do appreciate the feedback. The next question that's been sent in is from Kirsty. So Kirsty has sent in a question saying, how do you cope with being injured? I have had a shoulder niggle for months, and I have had to go right back to the bench press with the bar only for the last month, finding it extremely frustrating, and also can't help but feel a little anxious about going backwards in progression. I know just using the bar is the right thing to do, but it's tempting to push myself harder. Great question, Kirsty. First up, it is tempting. I get you, girl. Like, it's tempting just to say, fuck it. I want this. I know I used to be able to do this. My pride's taking a hit here. You know, you don't like scaling back. Fuck it. I'll do what I want. And truthfully, when you're injured, you know, to think of it, it's almost like you have to reset your performance bar. So your personal best may have been here, and now it is here. Sure, you know, that's how it is. It sucks to slightly lower or shift, you know, your performance best. But this injury is real, and it takes just as much effort for our bodies to do the rehab to actually get better as it would doing a full-blown workout. It's a very similar like neurological response and a physical response as well. So your bar is here for a non-injured person, but then it's here for injured. In my experience, you will endure unexpected injuries. Even if you have the perfect form and you take care of yourself and you do things with calculated minimal risk, you will experience injuries. It's a normal part of life. Is it enough reason to, you know, give up exercise and just resort to, you know, a laugh on the couch? Like, hell no. But I guess having that level of understanding and maturity to be like, this is my current situation and this is my best effort right now. Sure, it does take a stab to your pride and what you used to be able to do and perform, but it is better to lose pride and get better quicker than try and inadvertently self-sabotage your progress and do things that you know are not really gonna help you recover. I know you said, how do I cope with injuries? And the truth is, not very well. I wasn't able to train my entire lower body properly for about 12 to 18 months. Properly as in, you know, what I used to do. I actually spent about the first 6 months of that trying to self-manage it, thinking it was, you know, a simple fix, only to find out that, you know, it was actually a hip impingement with a torn adductor, which is the muscle in your groin, and then plus a knee injury. So I went to a physio a couple of times and tried to manage it, but it did get worse and worse. So put it this way, I was forced to abandon my pride in the curb when my hip gave out unexpectedly. I had about 7 people steal my ride actually at that moment when they saw me go down dead sober in heels. I just went down like a sack of shit into the curb and grazed my legs, my palms. And, you know, it's funny how, you know, I think it's funny now, but I still felt it in my heart, just aching from having to give in to what my body was not doing or had to do, and accept like the situation and what was and is ahead of me still. So the truth is I don't deal with this stuff very well, because I too know how capable I was, and it's hard and tiring to keep diverting those thoughts to stop me from comparing myself now to the old me. So it is a true form of self-discipline that everyone will have to acquire at some stage. You know, it's all emotional, but I've learned that it takes courage and, you know, a stack in your pride to let go of your ego and just simply do what is, you know, has to be done. So Kirsty, I hope that has answered your question. Let me just see what Nikki has written. Nikki has sent in a question. Thank you, Nikki. Okie dokie. Nikki, can you please remind us of the importance of accountability and all the do's and don'ts? I was talking about this today. Sometimes the term meal gets me. What if I have an apple or a Freddy Frog or a latte? Obviously, these aren't meals, but it's all energy in the tank. And it fucks with my head a bit, putting an apple as a non-compliant meal when I know it's actually a reasonable food to eat if I'm not able to have a full meal. And that percentage chart on the dashboard is counterproductive. A little logical pep talk is just what I need right now. Thanks, lovely. So with for everyone playing along, Nikki is referring to the 7-day meal accountability task, where it asks you to list your meals, the specific meals and whatnot, and also the number of meals eaten in that weekly accountability task as well. So in the world of tasks and setting them up to do data collection, this is half of a description and IT setup and half a reminder of what should be happening. Apples, like Freddy Frogs, even what you drink, may not be considered in your eyes as meals, and let's face it, that they're not. But knowing the education behind this, the goal really is ultimately to move away from snacking and eating from just one food group and move into meals that contain multiple food types that do make them compliant, so they're more likely to help you get results much quicker. So if we were to put in a section for snacks and licks and sips and sucks, well, sure, you know, you'd still get the accountability and data, but it's not really encouraging you to move away from that. So having set meals and tasks is really reinforcing what we're encouraging you to do. Now, that's not saying, Nikki, that, you know, and everyone else watching, that you should immediately just stop having an apple. No more Freddy Frogs. You know, for everyone else in the world, not sure if you get Freddo Frogs, but it's basically a small, like a chocolate shape, and it's of a frog. Delicious. May have seen them in a favorite childhood dessert of mine, Frog in a Pond, which of course is, for everyone who's thinking, what the fuck is she on about? It's jelly, usually green jelly, with a chocolate frog stuck in at the top, at the middle. It's like a frog that's in a pond, right? I love Frog in a Pond. The memories. Anyway, what I'm saying is that under the surface of meal accountability, that can seemingly appear to be quite black and white. There are multiple layers that us coaches look into. Sure, if you had 15 Freddo frogs every day, easily doable, I'm going to say, sweet tooth right here. But if you went from having 15 chockies a day and over a few weeks, you changed your ways and turned that into a bowl of fruit, well, blow me dead, that still isn't a compliant meal. So technically in the world of meals, you haven't quite hit that black and white mark still. But in the perspective of changing your habits and meal choices, this is quite the improvement that would have a significant amount of impact for the better on your results. The same would apply to someone who lives off half a dozen full cream, milk, coffee, and 4 sugars, a day, who then takes it around to having a plain old latte, no sugars, maybe once or twice a day. Now, you, Nikki, might find yourself having those little chockies, coffee or whatever. This information is still quite helpful because everything that goes in our mouth impacts our metabolism and plays a role in our future self. As you said, it's all energy going in and messages going in, foods, liquids of any serving size, it all matters. So when it comes time to reviewing your current status, Nikki, all of those things amount to data that help you and us coaches identify areas that need to be improved upon to help you get to that next level. But any good coach should be focusing on the information that is inside the data and the actions that particular person is taking to improve themselves. The black and white data is still very helpful and very necessary because that's the bar set to where it needs to be. But the responsibility of the coaches and the job of the client is to try and aim to get there. So a lot of the time you might see black and white, and yes, it's a reminder, but there are also a lot of layers to the information that's inside that data that's extracted, probably more so. So, Nikki, I hope that answers your question or just probably reinforces this stuff because I know you know what we know, but it does always pay to have a little refresher, and I hope that's very helpful. Let me know in the comments if I was way off track. I can come back in and redirect my thoughts. Now, Emma has sent in another question. It's been great. Just one sec, let me get it up. Is this the last question? Yes, it is. Emma, where are you? Here you are. Emma, recently, my best and oldest friend passed away, and it really threw me off track, and I've completely bombed out of most of my second program. My third program would normally start about now. How might you suggest is the best way to get back on track and get back into it? So, gosh, Emma, this is not good. Ultimately, nobody can prepare you for this kind of stuff. So my heart goes out to you. When you're still relatively new to this and are really trying hard, there is a higher level of effort going into this stuff to keep it going and for you to rebuild those new habits. That is, of course, in perspective of somebody like me and more advanced clients where, what you're learning and doing right now is pretty much second nature and happens without, much effort at all for us. In fact, if we don't do it, it's an out of body experience. So when something like this comes in for somebody that's relatively new, it's it's much easier to get derailed because your resilience muscle simply isn't as strong as ours is yet. And that does suck for you, but it is simply the way it is when you're starting out, and you will get better. My advice to you is to get back on track is to simply start. But I want to remind you that this isn't a matter of picking it all up where you left off and perfecting everything exactly and it's all, you know, full helter-skelter again. But to start in a way that is a little bit more calculated and in a way that you know helps you build momentum. Where is that? Well, everybody is different. A lot of people like to get back on their horse doing the basics, which is all that's needed. Most people usually start with exercise. Usually exercise is a great place to start, which is then followed by picking up your meal prep habits and growing from there. Depending on how much this, you know, has changed your life and with the death of your dear friend, you may need to revise your old routines that you had before when she was still alive, he or she, I'm not quite sure, and how all those little routines and things that you did, how much that all slotted into your week. I'm just not sure how much of it has changed your life, but ask yourself, you know, right now, would that routine and setup and your little, you know, habits, would that still work with your commitments and your lifestyle right now? Is that still the best and the easiest way to get those non-negotiable things done? If yes, like, carry on. But don't be afraid to revise some of that and trial other parts of the week that you want to do your exercise. You might find other parts of the week that it's easier to do your cooking, and, you know, just trial other ways and see if it's better. There's no harm in doing that at any point in your transformation, no matter what's going on. But when something like this happens, it is a good time to just check in with yourself and say, yes or no, I need to revise certain things. Grieving is a tricky one because it can catch you unaware sometimes. So I think in conjunction with doing those non-negotiables with cooking and exercise, it's important to find something that helps you grieve. That can look like meditation, catching up with friends, speaking to a professional, craft, reading. There are so many ways to grieve and there's no right way. So I think it's imperative that you dedicate some time to find that release, a time where no matter what, no matter how you're feeling, you do that specific activity to process the thoughts of your friend, the good thoughts, the bad thoughts, the ugly thoughts. It is your protected time to feel those emotions and sometimes let them out, so that you don't keep pushing the emotions aside because you're too busy, it's not appropriate, you've got a bit going on, and you push them too far to the side until they win you over and take control of you when you least expect it. So in conjunction of just starting with the very basics, I also think that that's a really good place to start for, you know, grieving, so that you've got protected time to feel those emotions, and that way you hopefully feel a little bit more stabilized, you know, as time goes on. Now, that was the end of the questions. Emma, I hope that last, that my response is suitable for you. I also would like to hear your feedback. Let me just go and check for the comments. 1 second. What have we got here? Brianna, hello, yes, hello. Kirsty, my giraffe moved my Wi-Fi antenna. I knew it would, just as I was answering your question. That is classic. For everyone playing along, Kirsty lives in South Africa, and I'm convinced that she has pets, like giraffes as pets, and that's why her Wi-Fi is shit sometimes. So great joke. I love it. That's all. I am going to give it a couple of minutes, another minute or so, just in case people watching have any questions. if you are watching this not live, that's okay. Pop some questions into the comments, or even just post them up into the group. Just make sure you tag me so I do not miss your little post. Our group is amazing, but it is very busy and I don't want to miss some of your questions. But other than that, it's been a great little evening. It's night time here in the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And yeah, we've had beautiful sunny days for a couple of days now, but it's just gone back to rain. So yeah, bit boring. I don't like it when it's raining. Can't be outside too much. It's just disgusting wet. All right, well, I'm going to end it there, everybody. Thank you for those who are tuning in. Thank you for these who are listening in later on. And that's me. Have a good rest of the day. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you next time. See ya.